Okay, so this is the What's Going On podcast, which is being held by Grooveschool in combination or in collaboration with 3 Space at International House. And today our guests are Samia and Joe. And what are we here to talk about today, guys?
Well, we're both part of the Save International House campaign. We've been organising around preserving this building as a major hub of community care and resilience in the heart of Brixton for the past 9 months.
Right.
In the context of Lambeth Council seeking to sell the land to the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Abu Dhabi to deliver some unaffordable housing in the space.
Very nicely put.
And
Yes.
as Londoners, I think we're just sick and tired of seeing developments not take communities' thoughts and opinions into account and leaving us out of decision-making processes where
Exactly.
it's like we shape the culture in London. We see lots of spaces across East London, North London, South London where you have lots of rich elites saying that this is what community looks like without consulting us and not investing in us. And something that's magical about the International House building, it has over 100 organisations who are doing great social impact for
Exactly.
the wider Lambeth area. And that's not just taken into account at all. And it's quite frustrating that the decision makers aren't really transparent about that. So people kind of just feel like, oh no, they're just building homes, that's going to be
They
affordable.
don't see the bigger picture.
And yeah, people don't see the bigger picture. They don't see the generational impact of the people that exist in this building and work in this building.
Exactly. No, you would know, as I do, that a lot of these organisations here do things that Lambeth itself don't have the time, money or capacity
Right.
to do. So in a way, if that's taken away, then the wider social impact within Lambeth itself is going to be quite extensive. So it's almost like cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Exactly.
Short term and long term.
Exactly.
So how did you two meet and get involved in this?
So we were introduced by a colleague of mine from Stour Trust, Juliet Can,
Right.
who works in democratising access to land and spaces.
Right.
They started off just before the Olympics when East London was kind of being terraformed and everything was being demolished, and they were defending community spaces in Hackney Wick.
Great.
And Juliet and I met at the London Land Justice Fair, which happens every summer in Myersfield Park. Date TBC for this one. But she said, we need to talk about International House because there were people in a lot of different institutions who are really worried about the fact that if you make 100, 150 largely black-led community organisations institutionally homeless in the heart of Brixton, that's going to have massive impacts on
Huge
the health
impact.
and well-being of the community at large. So I'm a sort of a planning geek. I'm studying for a master's in urban regeneration at UCL in the Bartlett School of Planning. And Samia's more focused on the kind of bringing people together and facilitating that.
Amazing. So I was going to ask you what first pushed you in this direction, but you've obviously both got underlying interests in both these areas, and it seems to make sense that you would sort of naturally align into a campaign like this then.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in East London, specifically Stratford. So Newham is my home borough. And ever since the Olympics, as Joe mentioned, we've seen Newham transform really fast in front of our faces. So I don't think Joe knows this because apparently he's connected to the campaign. So I was born on Carpenter's Estate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember my family just saying, oh, lots of things are changing there. So they were like, let's go to Cannon Town. And if you go to Cannon Town Station now, you see the Hotel Ibis. That's where my council estate used to be.
Oh, wow.
And you can still see a derelict playground behind the hotel and every time I walk past it, that's where most of my childhood memories come through of us just playing basketball, football, running around, hula hooping, skipping, and even days when some of the troublesome kids will break the fire hydrant to let the water out during hot
Your
summers.
memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those memories are kind of forgotten and lost in history just because of the
Absolutely.
developments in the area. And what pushed me through this work is through collectives and community organising that I've been a part of in London. So I actually came into this work through decolonising economics,
Right.
where we look at ways that communities can build community wealth and ownership and try to explore that together, it's experimental, it's messy, because we're trying to create new templates that the systems didn't really teach us.
Exactly.
And also try to teach our communities that ownership is possible. It's not for the billionaires and the millionaires. This is something that we can tangibly do as a community. So through Decolonizing Economics, Juliet kind of said, you need to join this campaign because it'll be good for you to see how this works in real life.
Absolutely.
And also give people case studies that this has happened before. And I had the privilege of being in Birmingham for a Power to Prosper showcase 2 weeks ago, where we had people from Nottingham, Glasgow, Greater Manchester, and other cities where they were saying that they've successfully secured buildings for their communities. So something we want to tell the listeners about this campaign, this isn't a pipe dream that we're just imagining and putting out of thin air. It is possible to own these buildings. It is possible to have community assets that actually serve our communities.
It's realistic.
Yeah.
So would you say that's what's driving you at the moment? That's at the heart of your mission behind this, is to create those spaces and preserve them for community assets and to make sure that people know that it's a possibility?
Absolutely. I mean, International House is owned by Lambeth Council, and once upon a time, councils were doing a huge amount of work like this for the community. Like back in the 1920s, the Labour Party councils were aiming to build the Tories out of London by building mass council housing and community infrastructures. And then when International House was built as part of the Brixton Recreation Centre, it was in a time when councils had much bigger budgets, were delivering mass social housing, entire housing estates, and the whole rec centre complex was built to be, in the words of the architect George Finch, a social condenser where people of all different walks of life would come together to share experiences. And I think although International House at the time was not that, it was the home of the council's children's services, so it has a very controversial history around families being separated and abuse being covered up. In its later life, since Three Space has occupied it in 2018, it's been a way in which the community has been able to step up into the hole that's been left by 20 years of austerity and create ways of care and resilience that actually are locally embedded, have the trust of people, and are way more effective than a council ever could be.
Absolutely. So in terms of what you're actually offering the community, you're giving them hope, you're giving them resilience, you're giving them an opportunity to have a voice as well, these kind of things. When it comes down to what you've been doing so far, what are you most proud of so far? How do you feel that you can really go, I know that we're in the right direction, I know that this is having an impact?
I think it's worth saying that this campaign isn't me and Joe's campaign. The way we approach this is giving tenants the ability to voice what they want this campaign to look like.
Right.
Just because, I think we believe that this campaign should be community-led overall. So getting the community of Lambeth to decide what to do with this building and to talk about not just its present situation, but its future situations. How will International House serve the community in 50 years' time?
Long-term.
Yeah, long-term visions. And what we want to do is get people to vision, the bigger picture, essentially. Not just talking about this situation in a survival mode lens, but actually thinking, how do we make sure our communities thrive? How do we make sure the tenants thrive?
Yeah.
And I know it sounds easier said than done, and that's something we're learning in this process because everyone's got different priorities, agendas, and it is quite scary when a decision maker like the council says you need to be out by X amount of time. It's really scary to dream when you're in that position. So we hope with this campaign we give people the tools, whether that's supporting them the legal and planning side, whether that's actually doing more community organising together. We even work with the traders in Pop Brixton as well. So
I was going to say Pop's on board as well.
Yeah, I think what's been something that we're proud of is that it's actually been expanding. It's been having a ripple effect. It's entering the conversations in different arenas. Last week we met up with Lambeth Mutual Aid and other housing associations.
That's great.
And they said, we are happy to support this campaign because enough is enough, essentially.
That's amazing. Really good. Joe, is there anything particular that you're particularly proud of in terms of what's been happening so far? Something you go, we know we're on the right track with this?
Yeah, I think we prior to the elections, we had a big rally outside of Lambeth Town Hall. I think there was an assumption from a lot of people that our campaign would fizzle out and we would not know how to handle what was going on because Lambeth planning officers were adamant that once this went through, that would be a done deal and it would be finished. But we had a big rally. It became quite an important part of the local elections, and we have, for the first time in 20 years, a
Real
different
community pushback.
administration in power. And again, like, some documents have been signed, but the land has not been sold yet.
That's a key part of the discussion.
Exactly. And I think that's where we are organising around now, is making sure that that land doesn't get sold, because the current arrangement is that London Square, which is the property wing of the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Abu Dhabi in London.
So the land wouldn't even be staying in British.
No. It would be owned by an international financial institution that's heavily involved in the genocidal violence in Sudan and is extracting the overwhelming majority of Sudanese gold, and then is using London's property markets to sanitize that and engage in long-term rent extraction.
Right.
And the deal that London Square has offered to Lambeth is that if they build around 250 homes, of which 98 will be social homes, so not actually council homes, more expensive than council homes.
Right. So not really affordable.
Yeah, exactly. They get to have the land for 250 years. And I think it's worth mentioning that new builds in London, as they're currently built, are made so badly that at best they have a shelf life of about 40 years.
Wow.
So that means once the building reaches the end of its life, then Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund has the land for another 200 years.
Those properties can be knocked down, and then they can do whatever they want with the land.
Exactly.
And they've got it for a steal.
Yeah, exactly. And that also means that, like, there'll be a precedent set nearby for other sites nearby to have other, like, high-rise majority luxury housing as well, like the former Canterbury Arms site, Summer Leighton Road. The estate next door would be at risk.
And considering there's a lot of low-rise estates around here, one of the things that people were talking about was the blockage of the light as well.
Yes.
Two massive tower blocks will have an incredible impact on a lot of the residents around here, given that it's a lot of low-rise estates.
Yeah, like some of the apartments on the estate next door will lose 80% of their sunlight, which
80%.
Not only has a massive impact on, like, their mental health and well-being, but also, like, materially impacts them, because in the winter their energy bill is going to go up substantially, and everyone knows how much it costs to heat your homes these days.
So there's a lot of knock-on effects, definitely.
Exactly.
Well, obviously people care about this campaign, they will want to get involved. What's the best way that people can do that? How's the best way? What are your socials? Are there things that people can sign up to? Are there other avenues that people can come and join in or volunteer? We're open to suggestions. Tell us what you'd like.
So definitely follow us on our socials. So on Instagram, we're Save Noor, so save_NOUR. We're going to be putting out a petition out soon for people to sign. So if you follow the Instagram page, you'll see the follow-up actions, which will include joining the mailing list. But also, we're not just trying to stick to digital comms as well.
Great.
We're going to be outside in the community. So definitely you'll see us around the community in the upcoming months, during the summer season especially.
So face-to-face engagement?
Yeah, face-to-face, because we really want to speak to people and hear how they can support, because the brilliant thing about community organising is so many people have different skills, resources, talents that can feed into the campaign.
Sometimes digital exclusion, people forget that not everyone's got Instagram or Twitter or all these things.
Exactly. So, and we've seen that be a huge success for the Buy Back Brixton campaign, where the young activists went out into the streets talking to everyday people, traders, getting people to sign up to be the sound system for the street parties. So, you know, face-to-face is definitely powerful in the times that we're in, because I think people have digital fatigue these days. They do. So you'll definitely see us out more in the streets, and what we're realizing is that we're part of a wider ecosystem of people fighting for community justice. So
cross-generational.
Across all generations. We've been exchanging wisdoms from people who came before us, telling us, we know how to deal with this situation, let us support you.
Amazing.
So it's been really good having that wider ecosystem. So you're going to hear us, it's going to be loud, and we hope that everyone could join us. I'm not sure, Joe, if you wanted to add anything else.
Basically we've applied for that petition, so that should go live on the council website in 2 weeks' time.
Fantastic.
We'll do a big launch, and then from then we'll be hoping to do stalls on market days, so Thursdays, Saturdays, just getting as many people.
Have a real visibility there.
Yeah, just talk to people, bring it out to the community, because I think this campaign has for a while been, like, quite focused on the what's going on inside the four walls. And I think we've agreed that actually making sure that we're stating our importance to the community at large, because I think a lot of people get support from organisations in this building,
They
but
really
are not
do.
like they're not exactly sure how. And I think it's one of those ones where like the knock-on effects won't be like immediately obvious, but then like 3 years down the line, if like say Lambeth Larger is not able to operate from the centre of Lambeth, that means all of the food distribution for people in food poverty
Exactly.
like will be undermined. So it's just about doing those stalls, bringing it out to the community, and we're planning on doing street parties and rallies later on
Wonderful.
in the summer as well.
Right, so people can get involved and should get involved.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned Save Noor. I was just going to ask you, is this different to anything else you've ever done before? You've got a history of working with campaigns, local people and issues?
Well, yeah, I got involved in Save Noor just as it was being successful in resisting the eviction of Noor's Cash and Carry. It was, at one point, Noor's Cash and Carry was based in the heart of the market. One door opened up onto Electric Avenue and the other opened up right into the middle of the Granville Arcade.
Yes.
And so it was the beating heart of the community. There was people coming in and out, all directions, like food from all over the world. And Hondo
my favourite
Enterprises.
shops.
Yeah, no, it's a legendary shop. And yeah, shout out to the Shaheed family for serving the community for like longer than I've been alive. But like, I got involved because that campaign successfully shamed the millionaire Texas playboy shit DJ Taylor McWilliams landlord from evicting them. Like, he got delisted from resident advisor. Like, he was very much shamed into doing the right
Actions have
thing.
consequences.
Exactly. But then after that, members of the campaign found that he'd actually applied for planning permission to build a 20-storey office block on top of the Sports Direct.
Would that be the Hondo Tower?
That was the Hondo Tower.
Right.
So Save Noor became Fight the Tower, fighting against a proposal to build an office block with balconies designed in the middle of the pandemic, when office space, like market rate luxury office space, was not in high demand.
No.
So they were just going to turn it into luxury flats through the back door, because
Yeah.
once you build a building, permitted development rights in this country mean
change
that you
the-
can convert the use without planning permission. So
Right.
you don't have to go through affordable
Sneaky.
housing quotas and stuff like that. We managed to resist that after a long campaign, and I think this is just naturally like another part
natural
of
evolution.
like making sure that dangerous planning decisions made by people who are not
Keep
from
the
the
bullies out of
community.
Brixton.
Exactly, you know.
Exactly.
And I think like, you know, the difference between that and then is like Taylor McWilliams was like one millionaire wanting to build one tower, and now we've got like the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Abu Dhabi, which is basically run by the president of the UAE, multi-billionaire, 2 towers. But it's
Well,
the same
Same
story
principle.
basically.
Well, you've cut your teeth on some pretty good campaigns there. So, and you've got, knowing that background is you've got some really good solid community support. So that's something to feel very proud of. You've done a great job. Just a little bit more of a kind of personal question, not really personal, but because you've been involved in the local area, what are some things you like to do in Brixton, and what has been your route to International House? What brings you to this area?
So I'm a big foodie, and Brixton has amazing cuisines all around the space. I usually go to Alaji, the suya place that's
Okay.
just in the archway by the station.
Right.
And I also get my juices as well from the area as well. So
Brilliant.
I feel like I collect food like Pokemon as I walk down the streets of Brixton. And because I like theatre a lot, I like going to Brixton House as well,
Yes.
because I think they support lots of great local creatives,
Yeah, they do.
artists. And it's really fun to see young people of the area like write what they think should be on stage. So that's been really fun to see every time I'm in Brixton. Even though I said I'm a born and raised East Londoner, I've actually spent a lot of my time in Brixton. Some of my great friends live down here, so yeah, I feel like I know certain traders and business people really well. They're like, "Oh, you want this special?" And
They
it's
know.
like,
That's
yeah,
when
they
you
know.
That's great. And Joey?
Yeah, I've been. I grew up in Tooting, so just round the corner, and it's a short bike ride away. And I've been coming to Brixton ever since I was a child, like in the early 2000s. And for me, it was basically one of the things that I did with my dad that didn't revolve around alcohol. So I have like quite the connection for me is one of like feeling safe and secure and like doing interesting things from a very young age. And like as a white boy from like a much leafier part of London, like coming to Brixton in the early 2000s and like seeing like fruit I wasn't familiar with, and like the conversations and the different languages and the smells and everything, it was incredible. Like and like I was coming when like there was the hipsterification was like only just starting. Like Franco Manca's, which is now a staple of every boring high street, was at one point like an interesting place, and as like a 7-year-old you're like, your mind is blown, like they put pizza on sourdough now, that's mad. And like going to the Ritzy,
that was the original, the OG
yeah
one.
exactly, going to the Ritzy, going to the bookmongers, like that is where it started for me. And then like as I got older, like going out quite a lot, like Brixton Jam was a staple when I was underage. Like hootenanny if I had a fake ID that said I was over 21. And then also like for me, like Max's Snack Bar on Station Road is a legendary place. Like
some solid staples
yeah
there.
exactly, you can be there from like 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. if you wanted to.
It's an institution, that one.
Yeah, and then like the number one is the Marquis of Lorne. I think that's the best Irish pub in London.
Yes,
to be honest.
Yes, that's a quite well kept secret among some areas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
She was like, "Why are you telling everyone this?"
I mean, you don't need to tell everything, Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's cash only, so you know, people walk out when they get told that.
That's part of its charm. I feel. Well, that's wonderful. And your route to International House, because I see you both here a little bit. Is that to say mainly to do with the campaign and to speak and connect with others in the building as well?
I was going to say, for me, I've actually been coming to International House quite often because I'm a freelancer. So I've supported organisations like Black Thrive.
Oh, great.
And similar organisations just coming through to support the development.
Yeah.
And then when I heard International House was at threat, I was like, oh no, that's the place I've always gone to support amazing people here. So yeah, I'm here more because of the campaign, but I've always kind of been here through different affiliations.
Yeah.
For me, it kind of started with my connection to the Rec. So like I took part in an oral histories project called Revisiting Brixton Rec, which was kind of collecting the stories of people who had gone to the Rec back in the heyday.
Right.
Because like when it was first opened, like I said, it was designed as a social condenser. Like you can't see it in the camera, but this ceiling is like a waffle ceiling, and it's designed for acoustics.
Yes.
For amplified music, like there was like what George Finch called a discotheque like built into it. But by the time that it was built in 1984, like the majority of the events were like sound system clashes and things like that. Jar Shaka performing, a lot of fundraisers for the ANC during their struggle for national liberation against apartheid, and like just collecting those kind of stories was like my way in, and like hearing about that. And then like as I've sort of talked to Juliet about this campaign and gotten involved in International House, I realised like it's a fundamental part of the whole thing. Like you can access parts of the Rec via International House to do these like events, which were like a staple of the Rec until the Metropolitan Police introduced the Form 696 risk assessment in 2006, which for those who don't know was like an explicitly racist way of preventing like black cultural expression and events from happening.
Right.
You know, they would demand like the names, stage names and addresses of everyone performing. They would have questions such as like, does this event cater to a specific ethnic group? And if so, which one?
Wow.
Does this event have particular types of music? For example, ragga, hip hop, jungle, you know, those were the kind of questions they were asking. And like that killed off all of the cultural events there. So like learning about like how International House was like a crucial component of that was my way in.
There's a lot of history here, and there's a lot of great organisations still doing good work today. So it's fantastic that you two are making your darndest approach to try and save International House to help with the campaign, and we really appreciate all your efforts. So Samia and Joe, thank you so much for coming to speak to us today at What's Going On in Grooveschool.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. You've been listening to the What's Going On podcast here at Grooveschool at 3 Space International House.